Welcome to the Maturity Project. I am your host, Chad Everett Broshears, and if you'd like a different introduction, by all means, put one in the comments section, as well as don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's hear some comments. Today's video is actually about a comment that it's a contact that I received. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about it because it is about relationships, and this does seem to be one of the categories that seems to get a lot more attention. I'm not your, relationship coach, that I can do relationship coaching, but it's the Maturity Project. It's about 8 different areas of maturity. Relationships absolutely is an area of maturity. It's not a category of its own, though. It's a combination of categories. So that's why you see a lot of mixed results in relationships. So as I mentioned in a previous video about, you are the a-hole of your relationship, and why you're the a-hole, and I'm not like, okay, look, with this type of content, usually do have to use something a little bit more sensational, if you will, to get people's attention. But if you really look at it, how do you qualify, what somebody, why would you call somebody an a-hole? If you really understood what was going on whenever you made that determination about the person, you'd probably misunderstand something. Now, you might full well understand the circumstances that you're under right now, the experience that you just had with that person where you're like, this person's an asshole, right? Make sure I'm very clear about what I'm saying here. A-hole, asshole, right? You may be in a situation that you're completely you're validated, right? You are 100% accurate. That person's an a-hole because of this. But here's the thing. What in life gave them the experiences that got them to the point that seemed like it was the best way to react at that time? Now, best way to react at that time is typically we default to make the best decisions possible every single time, but sometimes you don't realize the decision you're making is based off of stress. The decision you're making is based off of a hardship you're going through, or frustration or something. It still is the best decision at the split second the decision's made. Hindsight goes, I could have made a better decision. Because you made it, right? That's the one you made. Here's the thing, though, is that there's not a lot of things in life that are quite that permanent. Yeah, you're going through some stuff. An apology does actually go a pretty decent distance. But the video today is not so much about that. I'm just kind of expanding on it a little bit more because, look, what most of us do is we live through life and we think everybody else is running on the same program that we're running on. We assume that every single person we interact with they see the world the same way we do, or, as if there's some sort of governing law that says that, relationships are supposed to work a certain way, and business is supposed to work a certain way, and the way we interact with other human beings is supposed to work a certain way, and the way that we move our bodies in life is a certain thing, Yeah, there's a whole hell of a lot of variations about the way people will, tell you that their way is right. So, okay. Now, not to get any further in the weeds about, relative existence, but to get to this conversation that was started, and the relationship conversation I had in the previous video was about you being the a-hole of your relationship. And here's why. That's a whole video I did. Go back and watch it. It's episode 259. So this is episode 260, so it doesn't take too far to get to it. It's one back. Now, with that, I discussed different places, right? Like, what type of relationship are you in? So, what type of relationship are you in are you celibate? Or are you monogamous, or are you in ethical non-monogamy? Those are the 3 categories that I push people towards as far as what fits you. And when I say push people towards, I don't go into unethical non-monogamy, cheating, stuff like that. It's a preference that I don't really want to create more of in this world. We got enough of that stuff. It's a feral behavior that we get because lying is cowardice. Cowardice is the fear of telling the truth because of the option of loss, of the potential of loss. Self-preservation, things like that. It's understandable, when you really get into it. And the Maturity Project's about helping develop people. So if you're in that position, you're not lost. It just sucks that you had to get there. But at the same time, there's lessons where you're at. You're actually sleeping in a bed of lessons. So, but all right, not to digress into that topic, but it is one. If you want to hear more about it, put a comment in the comment section. Also, hit that thumbs up. You're getting something out of this so far, although I haven't got to the juicy stuff yet. But when I say the juicy stuff, this is a simple one. Let's face it, we're adults. There are a lot of different types of relationships going on, especially now in society. It's 2025, and we've got used to be somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody that was in a open relationship or an ethical non-monogamous relationship, or non-monogamous relationship. But again, like I said, I'll push people towards the ethical side of it. Now, I don't have a preference for anyone. So as far as that, to make sure I'm very clear about that, I don't have a preference for anybody. It's whatever works best for you. I will give some insights, some insights on what can be the greater challenge, and what could be the hidden potential, that you're going to face, or what you could face by the direction you're headed in. So with this, we're modern day, and people are in, polygamous relationships, non-monogamous. If that's not your thing, learn from people that are going through it, that are choosing to go that way. I'm not saying learn because you want to fall into the fantasy or pleasure of it, as much as, look, they're just living life in a relationship status that gives them an accelerated experience amongst multiple people. Even if it's not direct, you could have one person that doesn't actually sleep with anybody else other than their main partner or their partner, but their partner sleeps with multiple other people, or somebody else. Oftentimes it's usually more than one. So, but that person is still by proxy, exposed to other people in other relationships, other personalities, other psychologies. So, it does give a dynamic there that monogamous relationships aren't exposed to. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's worse. It's just different. What can you learn from things like that? You're learning human behavior. You're learning things that, in an emotional entanglement like that, it does bring up quite a bit. We're so incredibly dynamic as a species. It's insane. Right? So this particular person's conversation had to do with performance issues, and he decided to open up the marriage with his wife, and they pursue, pretty much letting her, explore outside of the bedroom, with him, with others, so that she could, I'm assuming, so that she found satisfaction. Again, none of this is to be a negative towards this gentleman for sharing this. None of this to be a negative towards anybody in this. If it's your life to live, man, it's your life to live. The only thing I ask is just keep it legal. That's the only thing I ask. So, yeah, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We don't need to get into them. So, but anyway, all right. So, problems that he ran into are some of the things that are very common in that world. I have a lot of friends. I say a lot of friends. I have friends that, if you know me, if you know me, people open up to me, because I'm not actually out to make fun of or to use somebody for my own personal gain. That's not the type of person I am. I'm just incredibly curious about what people do and what they go through. I'm the guy at the bar. If you catch me at the bar ever, which is not very common at all anymore, but if you were to catch me at the bar, I would be talking to people about their life and just getting to know the person behind the one that's sitting at the bar. Not the reason they're sitting there that day because it's a hard day or whatever. They're just doing that as a coping mechanism. No. I'm like, what life decisions got you where you are in life right now? And I'm not saying because you're at the bar, therefore I want to know why you're here. It's more of like, just in general, where are you in life? What are you going through? What challenges have you had? What victories? What have your experiences been? Like, that kind of stuff is fun to me. It's wonderfully engaging, and it's a connection that I yearn for. I love connecting with people. When I say fun, I mean because of that. It's rewarding. I really enjoy connecting with people because people are great when you do connect with them. And if you want to make the world a peaceful place, connect with people. No, it's not just about, okay, you're going to be the pious person that's going to be the, the illustration of and the perfect example of, divinity, next Gandhi or something. So, but anyway, so this gentleman opened a relationship up, and it's kind of, for him, in his own words, it's like out of sight, out of mind. She just does whatever it was that she wants. But obviously, it says a lot, though. Instead of getting divorced and just moving on and letting her have her freedom, and he goes his own way, he loves her. He wants her to be satisfied in life. I get it. Whenever you love somebody, you wanted them to be satisfied. I'm not saying I get it from the sexual sense, but I am saying I get it because when you love somebody, you want them to find fulfillment in life, and you want to be the person to facilitate that. If there is something that prevents you from being the person that can facilitate that, it's something to look into. Can you develop that in yourself? I've had, partners in the past that like to play chess, as an example. Well, I'm not the best chess player, but I do enjoy it, actually. Now more so than then, because before that, it wasn't that big of a thing for me. Although I did play chess with my father and I did enjoy it, but it was more of, it wasn't that. Dance, I have a different appreciation now for dance. No, not dancing, but just seeing people perform dancing, or perform dance. I have a different, degree of appreciation for that now because of previous relationships. But I had to develop to that point, because if they're sitting there and that's something they're really into and they're wanting to tell you about it and they're excited, don't make that a void in your life with them where like they get really fired up. Like an ex-girlfriend of mine, she's loved dancing and she's a big Disney file. She loves Disney. Just absolutely loves Disney. She did the runs. She's a Disney princess, really. And she was so like, it really like, I loved her. She was great. She was an amazing human being. Really is. Kim, you're great. But so she's like, I caught myself one day where she's like, she was trained in tap dance, like legitimately tap dance, not like, just tapping around being a goofball. No, like she took classes and courses in it. And I remember the first time I saw her tapping, and I'm like, that's interesting. But it was like, yeah. And I could tell that she was never really able to fully open that up to other people that she had dated before because of the way she interacted with me about it. And I could tell that I also never showed any interest in dance. Now, it's not, I don't have interest. The topic didn't come up until at this moment, so I didn't bring it up proactively. But I'm like, yeah, I'd love to watch dance, or, like river dance or something like that, which I do kind of like that. Irish dance is pretty fun. Also, I love swing. Now, East and West Coast has nothing to do with the previous content of this subject, the subject of this video, but it's dance style swing. And I realized that if I didn't connect with her in that space, there was going to be a part of her intimacy she'd never be able to share with me, because I would shut it down, or I would deny her access, or she would be let down if she shared it and I didn't have the same enthusiasm. Or an enthusiasm close enough to the level that she has, and she was dampering it down because she didn't want to feel like she was overdoing it, So I have unbelievable appreciation for her. So, but anyway, so I realized that I couldn't facilitate completely, but I did open up enough to say, hey, I get it. And tell me more about that. Why do you love it so much? Because I'm really interested in finding out more about it. Like really that. What is it about it that excites you? And it brought her into, like all of the challenges that she went through and like how she overcame those. I mean, it was great to have her talk about it more. Loved it. And it was a breakthrough for me because I got to have another moment of intimate connection where it had been denied prior, and I wasn't even aware it was denied. So relating that back to the subject, well, this gentleman is in a position that he has something going on that doesn't allow, he's not capable of fully facilitating, what his wife is in need of. Now, if you're in the traditional category, you're monogamous and all of that, I just ask, look, be understanding that the path that this person and his wife decided to live and walk is theirs, right? Don't cast stones at them. Just, see if there's something about it that you have interest in enough. Do you learn from it? Not, again, not to live vicariously through it, things like that, but just curiosity itself can really open up different perspectives, so that you get another fragment of reality out of it. So, all right. So anyway, ran into some challenges with this. He said that he came home one day and he wasn't aware that his wife was at home, and one of her coworkers was in bed with him, or in bed with her, and they didn't realize that he had come in, and he heard and saw things, and he could tell that they weren't using protection. And yeah, I'm like, I can see how there are so many pieces of this moment that he shared, or the situation that he shared, that would all have, like, he's mentioning what violated his boundaries because they're stated, right? Like, there was no clarity about when these things would happen. There was no clarity about, it's either, there was no clarity because he didn't divulge this yet, but whether or not the conversation about protection was there, and if it was there, what does it mean that she went ahead and violated it by not using protection? So it's lingering in his mind, and I get it. And the reason why it's lingering in his mind is that those boundaries weren't set. And when you open up like that with somebody else, it's like, what does it really take for somebody to be involved in that type of lifestyle, right? How mature is that person? Because you have a lot of people that's an escape for them, and they bring some of the vices that are forcing their desire to escape. They bring them into that life and cause those problems, and that can create havoc and chaos in people's lives, especially when there's more than one person involved like that. So it has a high potential for being volatile. So in sexuality, you really want a lot of clarity. So I feel for the gentleman. I feel for his wife too. And it can be a challenging thing. Because there's plenty of people out there that can tell you what it's like to live in a relationship where your partner doesn't perform to the level of bringing satisfaction to you. So, yeah, there'll be more to this story, I'm sure, if he, continues the conversation with me. So, but I wanted to throw it out there, as this is it's a conversation to have. Again, if you're interested, you're curious, you want to pursue that type of lifestyle, I would definitely say look into the relationship course that I have. It does discuss in a great degree of detail about the foundation of what's necessary to make it something that at least is functional and doesn't create enormous chaos in your life, so that you don't rush into it with desperation and too much fantasy or whatever, might be leading you in, that blinds you from the reality and the consequences of that type of relationship. Because it can definitely carry a lot more consequences than a monogamous relationship. So, yeah. The celibate, they have their own issues too, their own challenges that they face. But anyway, so if you're interested in that, send me you can shoot me over an email at yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. That is YOUR maturityproject@gmail.com. If you have your own story you'd like to share, or hey, you know what? Let's open it up, man. If you've had an experience where you cheated, or you were cheated on, or where you were misled, those kind of things, we can really start getting into the area of the undesirable side of things, and how do we, because that's going to be more common for most people, is the failures and the challenges that you faced in relationships than it is to actually go through the successes. The success is what we really want to get to, but you know what? We can find it through those things. If this gentleman wants to continue the conversation, obviously we'll talk a little bit more, and who knows, it might lead to an actual interview on the, one of the recorded shows. So who knows? With sexuality is a topic. It is an area of maturity. So, all right. Well, that's it for today. I know, Chad. Look, I just got you warmed up, got you all ready. We just did some wonderful foreplay, and I'm going to turn it off. Oh, hey, thank you so much for watching today. Look, I'm Chad Everbrochures. I'm the host of the Maturity Project. And you know what? We're all in this together, man. We all carry a fragment of reality, to the bigger crystal of it all, if you will, the bigger, the totality of reality is so incredibly large that no one person could fully comprehend it. So that's the beautiful thing about this as well, is that, hey, when we get together, we start sharing stories, we connect with each other, we mature, absolutely mature. you know, and what it will do for the future you create, good God, you don't know, I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. So, all right, share this video with the person in your life you want to start a meaningful conversation with. Look, if you're going to be up to something, it is best that you help get the people that are close to you to understand, hey, I'm up to something at minimum, because when you go through the stress of change, and it will happen, they're going to want to help support you by getting you back to where they know you feel better or you have less stress. And it is almost certainly going to be back to where you were before you changed or you made the decision to change. So basically, it is an empathetic crab trying to pull you back down into the bucket. It's not a negative towards them. They care for you. But if you don't enroll them, they don't know you're up to something. That's the consequence of it. So with that, share this video. Put a comment in the comment section. Again, don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get to it. Yesterday's mistakes is an opportunity for tomorrow's success. So, all right, that's it. Let's get up to something. Let's get up to it together. Let's go.